welcome to another episode of Vision Quest. My name's Ashley Appap. If you are new here, welcome. This is a podcast where I talk to people that I enjoy about things they enjoy or care about, and we just get to know each other a bit more or deeper, or we have a little ha 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 ha, otherwise known as laugh, and we, delve deeper into things that matter to people, because that's what matters to me. And I'm, if you don't know me, a writer and comedian from Melbourne, Australia. And if you are coming back here, thank you so much. Welcome back. How's your week been? What's been going on? Are you drinking water? Are you going to the toilet? Are you calling your family and reminding them that you do love them? Please do if you haven't already. And now I'm very, very excited to let you guys know that I have my friend Sam here with me all the way from LA. Welcome, Sam. Woo!
Yay! Hi.
Hi. How are you feeling today?
Good. Great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. I'm so excited. We've had to delay this a few times, so I'm very excited to finally get to hang out with you. And if you're watching this on YouTube anyway, you can see Sam's impeccable, beautiful apartment. Look at that. Look at that red brick.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yes, this apartment has a lot of stories, so I'll have to tell you those stories.
It's just like so aesthetically pleasing. I can't stop looking at how everything matches so well and being like, how can I implement this into my life?
Your space looks gorgeous. I was just admiring, like, I love that terracotta color.
Oh, thank you.
I actually, before I went with all the pink, I bought that, like, stuff in that terracotta color too. And I was like, pink terracotta. I can't decide, but
yeah, it's very like grounding. It's a good color.
Yeah, I love it.
Beautiful. Can you please tell anyone out there that's listening and or watching this a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Samantha Antrum. I first and foremost identify as a writer, like essay type writer, and an activist. And I spend most of my days working for an organization called Color of Change, which fights to make the world a better place for Black people, essentially. And so I am one of the people who runs some of our online petitions at that organization. And that can look like anything from, talking about Black maternal health to talking about Black representation in television and film, or, and more commonly, or rather not more commonly, but most known is probably like our police brutality work. So things like justice for George Floyd, justice for Breonna Taylor, things like that. Beyond that, I call it a recovering theater kid. I did theater growing up and I loved it.
Me too.
Love it. And I still love it. Sometimes I sing in the shower, my old, audition songs. And I have a dog. I'm a super LA dog mom. And I think those are probably the most important things. And I'm a Sagittarius, and it shows.
Amazing. And speaking of your dog, the beautiful Honey, I just saw her ear flop into the screen and then flop away. Oh my God, we get to see her. Here she is. Hi, Honey. She's so beautiful. So we met through our mutual friend, Kelsey. Oh my God, she just did a big yawn. That was beautiful. Our mutual friend, Kelsey, I'll put a link to her episode if anyone wants to watch it. Because you guys became friends at the dog park, which is the most adorable thing.
Yes. Yes. And then I met you through Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, what was the first time we met?
I think maybe at her apartment for something, or maybe at, I think it was at I hosted this creative lady day at Glassell Park, and
I think it was before that. I think it might have been River's birthday.
Yes. At River's birthday at Pan Pacific, right?
Yes.
Oh God, I miss going to dog parties.
Dog parties are the best. Literally the most uncalled for, unnecessary activity, and just so much fun. And whenever people do it, they go all out. They always go all out. It's like balloons, which the dogs didn't even care about balloons. Okay, just everything, cake, candles,
Yeah. But
everything.
that's how it is. And if anyone out there isn't aware of like dog culture in LA, that's what you do. And if you don't, you're like a neglectful dog parent, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like it's a child, it's a human being. It has a birthday cake, a birthday party, a birthday outfit. Oh my God, Sam makes insane outfits for Honey and for herself, but for Honey, the hats. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. She has a crown sitting around here somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, spoiled. And I thought I was overdoing it. And then I met other dog LA people and realized I'm not overdoing it at all.
No. If for some reason your work as an activism and a writer fails, which it absolutely will not, at least, in your back pocket, you can always be like a dog stylist.
Dog stylist. Yeah. Actually, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. Maybe that could just be your hobby. Maybe that's like your retirement plan.
Yeah. That's a good plan. I like it.
Yeah. I think I will absolutely purchase things for my dogs. And they hate wearing anything, but if it's a Sam original, they're going to have to appreciate it.
I mean, just for the picture, just put it on for the picture and then we can take it off. Like, that's the deal.
Yeah.
Just, if you can just wear it for the picture, then we're all good.
Exactly. One of my favorite pictures of me of all time is on Halloween. I had a Halloween party at my place. You and Honey came.
Yes.
And in costumes, of course. And Kelsey surprised me by dressing River up in a taco costume, which is what I wear every Halloween. So we were matching. I'll put the picture here for anyone that wants to see.
It's incredible. I remember this very clearly.
I think I need to print it out and frame it because it's just beautiful. Like every time I look at it, I'm like, wow, nothing has ever looked so perfect.
I kind of want that taco outfit. I mean, can you like wear, is it itchy inside?
No, it's soft. I'm going to get it. I make sure it's always easily accessible.
Yeah, I was going to say the fact that you had it like at the front of the closet ready to go.
So this is it. I've had it for 9 years. It's like on the inside, it's just soft.
Oh, okay.
It's just soft.
It's like, let me put on a t-shirt and no underwear and then put on
that's honestly why I wear it. Cause like, as you can see right now, I'm wearing just like a big sweater jumper thing. I'm all about comfort. So this is easy because if it's cold, you wear like leggings and a long sleeve top underneath it. And you wear like red and then it's like, I'm meat. And then if it's, if it's hot, you wear like little shorts and like a bra under it.
And you're like, it's like a sexy taco. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's perfect. It's honestly, please get one. Please. I encourage everyone out there.
I think I need a pizza though. I think I like pizza more, I think a little bit. Tacos are actually really good too though.
Yeah.
I think I would want to be a pizza. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very jealous that you have accessibility to so many tacos still. I miss good tacos too. Although where I'm moving, there will at least be some Mexican food. Right now I'm in like deep suburbia. So it's like McDonald's and Burger King, or as we call it here, Hungry Jack's.
You're
the
like
supermarket.
Nothing else. Yeah.
And I guess if I wanted to like grab some greenery off the side of the highway, I could say that was fast food. I might just get poisoned.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's fine. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I can do better. All right. So would you like to get into the questions?
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Me too. Okay. So the first question is, what did you want to be when you grew up and why do you think that is?
So there were a few different things, but the first thing that came to mind was there was a point in time when I wanted to be the president. Which is insane. Now I mean, we had no idea Trump was even going to happen. Like that was so far. It was just ludicrous at that time if you had ever suggested something like that when I was in high school. So that's like 2010, 2008, that time. But so that time period, I was like, I'm going to be president. I'm convinced. I had no qualms about like how women have never been president, how there's literally never been a Black president up to that point. None. I was just like, I'm convinced. First of all, I'm really smart. Second of all, and I'm smarter than everyone else. That was always my I like that was my thing. I'm like, I'm smarter than everyone. I'm one of those people. And
Sagittarius.
then yeah. And then I also was like, and I think I'd make a great leader, and I want to be in charge, and I want people to listen to me, and I want to be famous. And I was like, that president
Ticks every box.
seems right. I wanted to do that. I just, my ego was so very big. But then later on, I was like, I had a phase where I wanted to be a pediatrician because I love kids, and Grey's Anatomy made being a doctor look so glamorous. So I was like, pediatrician, yeah, I could definitely do that. And then there was another period of time, and this is when I was, heading to college. So it was my major when I left high school. I was like, I'm going to be a Broadway performer.
Oh,
I cannot
dream.
sing well enough to be a Broadway performer in any way, shape, or form. I don't know how. I don't know what the plan was, but that was the plan at the time.
Yeah, I had the same. I was always like, well, I'm just going to perform musical theater, obviously. I can't dance at all, but it's going to happen. Like somehow
sure.
you could be a double threat, sure. And then I was also like, exact same thing. I was like, yeah, I can sing, but I can't sing. I can't I could sing for like half an hour, and then I'm like, how are you going to sing for 3 hours 8 times a week, you dumb bitch? Like,
the thing is, I actually, and this is controversial, but I think almost anyone could learn to sing. If you can sort of, unless you're just like, there are some people who are just completely tone deaf, you like whatever, they just can't. But most people can sing along to a tune.
Yeah.
And beyond that, it's like, you get a vocal coach and practice, and you can get really good. I mean, when I was in high school, I started to get really good, which is why I was like, I can totally do this, like, no problem. But you have to, it's much like all instruments, actually, you have to keep doing it. And yeah.
And you have to take good care of it in terms of not just like warming up and like keeping your voice healthy. You can't go out. You can't like be doing anything that could jeopardize it.
You can't like be like, there's like a running joke with my aunt that Mariah Carey's a drunk, and so that's how her voice has gotten so
the lubrication
messed up over time, is because it's like you can't do anything. You have to, this is your baby. That's the thing. Yeah.
I'm a big musical theater fan as well, and like I've listened to so many interviews with Ben Platt because I love Dear Evan Hansen. I saw it on the one night that he had vocal rest and he wasn't there. I was so upset, and I had the flu, and I was sitting there like, this is everything that it wasn't supposed to be, like dying in the audience, like stay awake. But yeah, and I've listened to him talk about like the process so much, and he'd be like, oh yeah, like because that show is so emotional in his role, like he has to cry so much and all this stuff, that he would be like, yeah, and after the show, like, at first I would go to the stage door and say hi to people, but then I had to stop because like I don't have the emotional energy to do anything. I have to go home and like watch some like reality TV, go to bed, not talk to anyone the day on like my day off. I don't speak. I'm like, Jesus, this isn't a life. Like,
I mean, for the thing you love, and I get it. Like what happened is somewhere along the way, I was like, I don't know. I do love this. I don't know if I love it that much. It was like enough to, make all of those sacrifices, enough to be a starving artist. I was like, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
Starving artist.
Yeah, I'm still doing that, but I was like, but I was, what? I was like, okay, so with musical theater, you can't drink, have fun. I was like, with comedy, that's the foundation.
Yes.
Go out and you drink and you hang out with other people, and then your body is destroyed during the day. And then like you might spend 20 minutes writing jokes, and then you're like, wow, I'm doing a great job. And that's
I think that sounds ideal.
Yeah,
Honestly.
exactly. Okay, let's go to the next question.
Cool.
Okay, the next question is, what's your favorite thing about yourself?
One of the things I do really like about myself is I notice that I do think a little bit differently than most people I'm around. I mean, in college, I would have thoughts that no one else had brought up, in the discussion courses or whatever. And that still happens, at work, we'll be having discussions because my work is, a whole variety of cool things, but one of the things is we have like a weekly meeting where we talk about current events as part of it. And I'll often bring up perspectives that other people don't. And so when those moments happen, it's like I get this, it's almost like a, do you remember in Mean Girls when Lindsay Lohan's like, it's word vomit, like it's just bubbling up and then I can't stop it, it just comes out. It's kind of like that, where it's like I have to say a thing. And I do really like that about myself, because in the moment that I have said those things, it's usually something that no one else has said, or I am like speaking up for someone that no one else is speaking up for, or saying, like, I kind of have done it with my mom a couple times, and she has changed her entire viewpoint after hearing me say that. So
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, it's been like, I can tell some of those stories later on, but yeah, it's, so I'm like, those are, yeah, that makes me feel good, and I think that's something I do like about myself.
That's amazing. That's a great thing, especially if you're able to help like shift people's thoughts on something with a new perspective.
I mean, it's, when I've done it, it took me years to realize how powerful like that is, and to have someone like your own mother, the person who birthed you, like, I don't know, I never would have thought that I would be the person who could get her to sort of change her viewpoint a little bit or change her behavior a little bit, but I am apparently that person. So
Hell yeah. Okay, let's do the next question. All right, what is your favorite feeling?
I think my favorite feeling is the feeling when it hurts because you've been laughing so hard for so long. You just, and it's so rare. I realized, especially since the pandemic, I'm like, it's rare to laugh, but to laugh that hard that something is that funny, it's so rare. So I think maybe the last time that happened, I had like a little mini housewarming. We can't have parties. If we're being responsible, you can't have parties. I mean, so I invited maybe like 4 people, Kelsey included, over. And one of my friends, she's like, "What's the apartment number again?" I'm like, "It's 411." She's like, "Okay." She gets up the steps to the 4th floor, and it's like, I can't remember, it's 401 or 411. So she thinks it's 401.
Oh no.
And literally walks into apartment 401, which the door happened to be unlocked.
Oh God.
And she's like, "Hey, how's it?" We have kind of a hallway before you get into the space. And so she's like, walks in like, "Hey, how's everything?" And it's like, not me. It's just like this dude on his couch, and he's like, "What?"
Oh my God.
I was like, "This is not real. You actually did this." She's like, "Yeah, I did." And I think we were all in hysterics, and it just, that it's so rare that something that genuinely in real life happens, is that funny.
Yeah. And like, that's the same thing as when you're little and you accidentally get in some, like, not your parents' car. Like you get in some, I feel like I know everyone I went to school with, I feel like did that at least once. Like there's someone like at the like drop off area or something, they'd be like, "Oh, here's my mom," like talking to their friends, like they see like a blue, because when you're a kid, you don't like think about like the license plate. You don't think about, you're just like, my car's blue. And then you like, and you get it, and then it's like, oh, this family is not mine. Which is such a fun, like just the image of that is so funny. Because like I don't think I ever did, but I think my sister did, and that was one of like, the laughs that you're talking about, I completely agree. They're so rare. I feel like for me, the time that they happen the most is with my sister when we're like laughing at our dad's expense, like when he's doing something stupid. But that was I remember that happening, and she was so embarrassed, and I was just like crying, being like,
Yes.
you idiot. You're an idiot. That's so funny.
I have never done that. I didn't know that. I guess because I took the school bus.
Yeah.
I think about it now. I'm like, that's why. It must be why. But yeah, no. I mean, I've had some other interesting, funny car things. I mean, we did a carpool freshman year in high school, and one of the moms, I feel like, was a little bit more absent-minded, and she like, one person got in the car and I sort of got in, but it wasn't all the way in, and she like hit the gas. Ready to go, and I was like, like, also such an insecure kid a freshman year, and I'm like, wait, what? I don't know what to say or do, like, and I'm sure, and the girl I was carpooling with was so embarrassed. I mean, of course, but I was like, am I that forgettable? Like, I was more like,
I feel like the other time that's like the time that happens the most, that you're laughing where it hurts, is like when you're not meant to be laughing. Like that always brings it to like a new level. Yesterday, actually, I went to a farmer's market with a friend, and she went to this stall to get some cheese from this guy, and she's like paying for it, and somehow he got onto the topic of like, oh, I have a child and she was sick, but it was because of the air conditioner. And we're like, oh yeah, that could happen, like the filtering, whatever. And then he just kept going, and she and I standing there like, yeah, okay. And he's like, and then this, and then because this, and he just kept, and he had this like very strong French accent as well, which isn't inherently funny, but for some reason, everything, and we were both sitting there, and the whole time I was like, if I move my head slightly in her direction and we make eye contact, I'm going to lose it. Like, I was just like, I can't.
Your story is so fascinating. Yes. Sir.
Yes. Yes, sir. Sorry. This is why. And we were both like new, like we didn't look at each other. We didn't speak to each other. We were both like, she's trying so hard not to laugh. I'm trying so hard not to laugh. What is going to happen if he doesn't stop talking? He's going to be so insulted. We just need to be like, yeah, cool. Yeah, great.
I have to go. What? Kids are in the car. I have to go.
Okay, let's do the next question. The next question is, what's your happy place?
Home decor. Yeah.
Done. Next question.
Yeah. No, really. I mean, I spent a lot of time. I mean, my apartment, I moved at some point in the pandemic too, but my apartment, the home decor was a whole different aesthetic. I mean, it was like dark blue, rich, dark, like navy blue, and like white or off whites, which was a beautiful aesthetic. I don't know. I just, pandemic hits, and I was like, okay, if I have to be up in here all the time, we're going to like get everything I've ever wanted. So my entire home aesthetic shifted completely. I mean, first I bought this canopy bed, which you can see in the background.
It's beautiful.
Nothing wrong with my old bed frame. Not a single thing. I mean, it's a very sturdy IKEA bed frame. And I was like, nope. Throw it in the garbage, gotta get a new one. So I got this bed frame, and thing by thing, start changing everything else, sell my couch, get this like chair instead, all this stuff. And here I am, and I ended up here, but the thing is, you can't stop. Like, I love home decor so much, and when I just don't want to do anything else, I'm like looking at home decor online. I'm looking like, what can I buy on Amazon?
Yeah.
What can I get off Wayfair? And it just, I have to, like, I actively now have to be like, you don't need anything else. You need literally nothing. You have everything you could possibly have in a home.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you possibly need, everything you could possibly want. Like, you need nothing.
But still,
I saw this round pillow. It's different from my square pillows.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just get that one round pillow.
Exactly.
We'll see. But I freaking love home decor. My aunt was telling me I should be an interior designer.
Ooh.
Because like everyone nowadays is gonna have more than one career. Like maybe you should be an interior designer. And I was like, I don't know, because I don't. Yes and no. Like if it's my happy place, I don't want my happy place to become my job.
And like interior designing is making things for other people's taste, not yours. So it's like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I like what I like.
Right. And my thing is I can do it for others. You can tell me about your aesthetic and I'm sure I can put it together, but it's not the same level of joy. It's more like, yeah, maybe it would be the same level of joy. I have no idea.
Okay, the next question is, what's your favorite song to cry to?
There is a song from a musical that we did at our high school. It's called the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. It's like, okay, you know this. It's an obscure musical. It was a Broadway musical, but it's on the obscure end of Broadway musicals, which is what our school was really good at. I mean, because we're a small school, there's not like, it's like the same 12 people, playing the leads every year. We just really did really well at like somewhat obscure musicals. So a lot of the time we did Urinetown the year before that. Urinetown is probably the best musical I've ever experienced. It's so clever and wonderful. And
it's so fun.
And I haven't engaged with it since then, but it was just the most I was just like blown away by how smart it was. Anyway, so we did this 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, right? And there's it wasn't one of my songs. I ended up getting cast as a lead, which this is the point in time when I was like, I could totally be a Broadway performer. I got a lead in my high school musical. Okay, wait.
Okay, Troy Bolton.
No one can tell me shit. Like, I am a Broadway performer, okay? So I get cast as Logan Schwartz in Grubinier, right? Like the little 10-year-old who's like quirky and has two gay dads. And all the female characters in that show have incredible songs. All of this is to say, the one song I always loved and would make me so emotional, it's the I Love You song. And the character Olive sings it with her parents. And when I used to listen to it back then, I never knew, because I hadn't been diagnosed with depression yet. I never understood why I was relating to it so hard, why it made me so emotional. And obviously now, because I've been diagnosed with major depressive disorder since then, I like understand. I was like, oh, yes, I see now. I relate to it. That was what was happening.
Yes.
It is the most incredible song. There's like 7 minutes straight of just the most beautiful singing and music. And yeah, I don't always cry to it, but I usually do. It's just the most incredible song.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That the first time I heard of that musical, I watched like a regional theater company do it nearby, like a country theater company. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but some of my friends were in it. And I walked out of there being like, oh,
it's incredible.
My life has been changed forever.
It's an incredible musical. The funny thing was, because we, so the school I went to was grades 5 through 12. So sometimes we would get these musicals, and obviously Broadway musicals are for adults, mature adults. So we got these musicals and there'd be some inappropriate shit in there, and they would have to like figure out how to cut around it. And that musical is has one particularly inappropriate, if you will, song, the erection song or whatever. My like I forget what the song, it's like My Fantastic Erection or something like that. Yeah. And they were like, so we're just gonna cut this whole thing. Like cut the whole thing. Like I think he still, the person who was cast to play that character still had a song, and they changed the words around a little bit. But I think they like cut like significant portions of that because they like couldn't do it. It's like the parents are gonna be, we can't.
Yeah, fair enough.
The parents and the 5th graders are gonna be like,
Mom, what's an erection?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to ruin some lives.
Yeah, they were like, we can't, it's a great song. It's really funny. We can't do it.
Okay, the next question is, who's someone you admire?
Bridgerton, obviously. Everyone, Bridgerton, right? Am I right? Lady Whistledown, as a character and separate, spoiler alert, separate from the person who is Lady Whistledown. So I guess the persona of Lady Whistledown I find really inspiring. And admire her greatly. The character Eloise, when she's sort of going on and on about how incredible it is that she's like in these times a single woman, like writing and making money and has independence. And I would watch it and be like, yeah, that I want that. Can I be Lady Whistledown? I want to be Lady Whistledown, I think. So her, and then the other person, and I was just talking about this in therapy, my younger sister.
Oh.
Because she is so many things. You were saying earlier how you like love your sister, but you also like she's the greatest and she's also the worst. Like that is my sister. I mean, she, to give some context, like this past weekend or maybe the weekend before, she lost her iPhone again. She left it in the Uber. I think we're on iPhone number, like, I think we lost count as a family. Like she told my parents, and my parents were like, we're sick of you. Like, we're tired. No, like,
we're done.
Deal with it. Just don't even talk to us about this. She's irresponsible and like so many shitty things, which so am I. I mean, but
so
she's
is also, everyone.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And she's like a little more vain than I care for at times. But she's also really incredible because she lives without, or from my perspective, lives without like a burden. She lives so freely. If she wants to do something, she figures out how to get it done and just does it. She decided she wanted to move to New York, so she did. She didn't have a job when she got there, and she got one somehow. And I was like,
amazing.
What? What? She just is pretty incredible, and she lives so freely and just, that thing, like the thing that allows her even to lose 25 different iPhones is sort of the same quality. It's like I would never lose my iPhone because I just have guilt and I have to be responsible and I have to be all these things. She's just like blah blah blah. Like, but I'm like, what is it like to live that way? That looks like it's so free.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot. Like when I talk to friends, I feel like you and I are probably very similar in that we have like very honest discussions with our friends about like how we're feeling, how we feel about ourselves, all that kind of stuff. And I've realized that a lot of what my friends think are their flaws, which, often are in some ways, I can pick up on like, but that's also your strength. Like one of my best friends is like a very emotional person. And she's like, it's been really like a detriment to me in relationships and in like professional circumstances. Like I get very overwhelmed by certain things. And it's like, I need to figure out how to control my emotions and not like let it affect how I react to things. And I'm like, yeah, but also that's why you're like such a good friend, why you're like, she's a teacher, and like why you're such an incredible, like an empathetic, like instinctual teacher, because you like can understand the emotions of the kids, and like she's a poet as well, and that's why your work is like so incredible. And I think often people's flaws are also like what like makes them strongest as well. The next question is, what's some weird kid stuff you used to do?
One that I still do, and I apparently it's really weird. I mean, I've told a couple of people about this, but not a whole lot of people. So I love the corners of blankets and pillows, like those pokey little corners.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how to describe them. I just like kind of hold them to my face or like hold them in my hands, and I just love how they feel. And it's really weird. I've always loved it. I've never heard of anyone else describe me like pleased by the corners of blankets and pillows. but I love it. To this day, I like still cuddle, like specifically will pull the ends of the pillow and like poke. It just feels great and I love it. I also used to watch birth videos like obsessively.
Oh,
Like natural
wow.
birth videos. Yeah. When I got my period when I was 11. I'm sure this had
Same.
to do with it. Yeah. Oh my God.
Same.
What a horrible ordeal to be
No,
11
yeah.
with your period. Skipping over all of that.
Crazy. I got mine I got my period at the night of my sister's 16th birthday, and she was having the party at a dinner theater restaurant named Dracula's, which was vampire themed.
That sounds, yes, correct.
So I'm having my first bleed surrounded by fake vampires. Just of course. Anyway,
It feels really appropriate. I mean,
yeah. It makes sense. The universe was like, ha.
Right now, here you go. Just very traumatic, I think, to get your period that young, and I'm literally going to skip over all of that. But I bring that up because it literally was like a switch in my head. It was like, oh my God, I have sexual feelings now.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
And so somewhere in there, I became fascinated with like birth and babies. I mean, I've always wanted to have kids, so I've always thought having kids was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But birth and babies specifically. And so I would like eyes glued to the screen, obsessively watch. It started with like a channel that doesn't exist anymore. I think it's like it's Discovery Channel maybe. So they used to run. It was between Animal Planet, TLC, and Discovery Channel, which I think are probably all owned by the same company actually.
Yeah.
But they would all show birth videos. On Animal Planet it was animal births, but good enough for me. So I would just flip through those channels watching birth videos. TLC used to run programming that was called like a baby story. It would be like a baby story, a wedding story, like all these different, nothing like what TLC is now. And I would watch that. And then later on, found out that you can watch natural birth videos without the censoring, because obviously when it's on TV, they sort of blur the vagina.
Yeah.
They'll show the baby coming out a little bit, but not a lot. I mean, It's very graphic. I found out on YouTube, you can't do this anymore on YouTube, actually. YouTube used to be very different. You could watch like graphic things on YouTube before. You could watch like sex stuff okay. So I would get on YouTube and like pull up the birth videos and just watch for hours. And I was fascinated with it. Now I'm sort of like have a healthy, I think, fear. But before I was like, nope, doesn't scare me at all. That's just really fantastic.
That's crazy to me. I like nothing scares me more for some reason. Being pregnant actually scares me so much. Like the idea of like just walking around, you got this thing in you, it's just like taking up all your nutrients. You don't
yes. Sucking up your nutrients. It's literally an alien inside your body.
Yeah. All of a sudden you're like, I want peanut butter. I don't usually want peanut butter. It wants peanut butter. Like, that's crazy that it has taste buds. Okay. And then the last question is, do you think aliens are real?
Yes. I think it's lacks self-awareness for us to think that we're the only beings that exist. And so, I mean, I wish there was proof. Like, I wish someone could get that far into space and tell us, and find a way to tell us. I mean, because anyone goes that far into space, they're not coming back. So
yeah, that's true. Oh God, that's scary.
Yeah, and I don't like space. I think space is very scary. I don't want to go in a rocket. I think rockets are scary. All of this is terrifying to me. So I'm like, I want someone who does want to do that I want us to like NASA to find the technology to like broadcast back to us whatever it is, and tell like, and that person gets to see the other beings and tell us all about them, and like sort of settle it for the people who don't believe, but yeah, unfortunately, that the people who probably have seen or gotten as close to that as possible, I don't think they came back.
No.
I don't think those people come back from space.
Okay, so now we've come to the end of the questions. And so it's your turn to shine, to take the floor. What are we going to be talking about today?
And you know this, but most of my life is activism. Most of my life is talking about racial justice and social justice. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about.
Woo! I was just going to start with a question, which is, at what point in your life was there an event or like something that you were learning in school, something that sparked this passion in you? Was there anything in particular that kind of began you wanting to get into activism?
No, it just happened. I mean, it's such a weird leap. Okay, so I started off in high school. I was very involved in all the things. I did the musical, I did track, I did cross country, I was that girl who did all the things. And one of those things was tutoring. And I loved tutoring. I love it. I loved it. It was so much fun. I especially love to tutor kids who are close in age to me, or like, right under, because it's like we're friends, but also I'm teaching you things.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to college, I had to get a work study job. I got some work study job. I hated it, and was looking for another one, and got this job as it's like a tutoring and mentoring program. So I get that job, thinking I'm gonna tutor and mentor like I did in high school, and it's gonna be so much fun. That job ended up being my entire life. High school, in college, work study, people usually work like maybe 10 hours a week. I think the max is out at 20 hours a week,
Mm-hmm.
for the work study program here. And yeah, I was like maxing that out all the time. Like, it was so much work. I ended up being on the board of that student organization, that was always like an all student run organization. This is all to say that when I was maybe a junior, senior in college, I started to realize so basically this organization's focus was education equity. And which is really, really important and a huge activist issue. I don't sort of consider it one of my issues anymore, but I had to sort of indoctrinate myself into that. And sort of towards the end of my experience, realized I care more about race than I do about education equity. And education
Mm-hmm.
equity is a problem because of race. So I realized that. Also, all along the way, was studying communication and wanted to, I don't even know that I knew I wanted to do this, but I always loved talking about like pop culture and doing pop culture analysis and working that stuff into my essays for school, things like that. When I left college, I fucked around for a little while, essentially working here and there, doing whatever. Ended up writing for Blavity, which Blavity is a Black-centric website, sort of like the Black BuzzFeed, if you will. Through them, found out about Color of Change. They were hiring someone who, basically cared about representation work, blackness in television and film, and making sure there are dynamic portrayals of Black people in film and television. I was interested in that role because it combined that with with this racial justice organization.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I ended up at Color of Change. I essentially fell into activism. I didn't even identify as an activist maybe up until last year, and sort of had to really start embracing it, because it's like, this is what this is. Like, what else are you going to call this? I don't, and so I fell into it. I totally fell into it. And it is one of the things that is most important to me. And I fell into it just because, I struggled with being Black growing up a little bit. All my friends growing up are white, so that didn't help. Those people I now realize are great people. It had nothing to do with them. Some of it did have to do with them, actually. Um, but that, that didn't always help. And when I got to college, I knew I was like, I have to be with Black people. I was like, I have to get around some Black people. Like, that's all I want from this experience. So I went, sort of all the way the opposite direction, and was spending all my time with as many Black people as possible. And I realized I just care a lot about being Black and the struggles that we face, and ended up in this sort of career in activism as a result.
You say you fell into it, but it seems like a natural progression, considering you were like, I love helping people. I love doing all the things and being able to like spread myself into doing multiple things and like keeping myself going. And like, I always feel such like a warmth when I hear people like finding something new about themselves or finding something they needed or wanted in college, because I feel like that's exactly what it should be. And I feel like there are people that have negative experiences with college that maybe don't have that. And that was my, like, obviously a much less important situation. I found student theater, but like
it's not less important, but I can get into that as well.
For my experience, it was like it took me down the path of what I'm doing now, which is like very heartwarming to hear that was like a similar situation for you.
Yeah. And it's, well, I guess I say I fell into it too because it's not what I intended to do, but I also had no idea. I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Apart from being a Broadway star, obviously.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Once I sort of parted ways with, and I knew, Broadway musical star is not happening, it was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I don't know. And so that's why I say I feel like I fell into it, but I see that. I mean, and it's something I deeply care about, obviously. And I guess it took college for me to realize that, but that's all it took. It was like, I deeply care about like Black people having a good life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what Color of Change is about.
Do you feel like living in LA versus in Buffalo, that kind of stuff is more accessible? Growing up there, was there much like, I mean, where did you go to university?
University of Pennsylvania, so Philadelphia.
Okay. So the change from Buffalo to Pennsylvania, was that like, were you just around more Black people in general? I don't really know what Buffalo's like.
Buffalo, yes. So Buffalo has like it's pretty typical, I would say, for it's a typical story for a city. It's pretty segregated. The Black people live on the east side, Hispanic people live on the west side, on and so forth. The white racists live in South Buffalo, but that's neither here nor there.
We don't care about them.
We don't acknowledge them. But I lived in a section of Buffalo that was not predominantly Black. My parents did that on purpose, I'm sure. And it had a lot of different ramifications, and that's why I'm in therapy now. But I think they did that with intention. And that's probably one of the more diverse areas of Buffalo, if you could pick one, but it is, middle class, upper middle class to wealthy area. And as most people do know who talk about, well, maybe most people don't know, but socioeconomic status, and low socioeconomic status is disproportionately like Black people and Latinx people. So, because of that, I was mostly around white people. I mean, school was white people, neighborhood was white people, everyone's white. Just, I didn't think it could get whiter, and I think it has over the years. We were like joking, my sister and I, that they somehow gentrified North Buffalo, which is the area I'm from. And it's like, it's already upper middle class. How did you gentrify it? But they somehow figured out a way. to make it whiter. Like
more and more brunch places popping up on every corner.
Just a co-op. They put a co-op on the corner over there, and I don't know how they managed to do that, but they did.
Vegan specialty stores.
Yeah, you know, a Mexican restaurant that is not run by Mexican people. You know, the typical
with like $25 drinks.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so that is a long story, but and a long way to say basically I didn't grow up around Black people because of the way the city was segregated. And I ended up being friends with people who I knew from my area more than anything, and those were white people. There definitely were Black people in my school. I mean, it was not a predominantly Black school. It definitely was predominantly white, but yeah, I wasn't cool. This is gonna sound really terrible, but I definitely wasn't cool enough for them. And that has something to do with anything they were doing. That's like a B thing. Like I felt like I was not cool enough to like.
You were a theater kid.
Yes. Those people look really awesome and fun, and me over here.
And I'm busy studying my libretto and
singing chorus class, like skipping lunch to go to chorus. Yes. So
trying to hone in on my vibrato and oh yes, I completely understand what you're talking about.
So I just like would admire from afar, like I think you guys are so cool and fun and like, but I can't be friends with you. Like I don't fit. I don't fit. And then, you know, there was some trauma associated with that. I had like a whole bunch of experience, like I said, therapy. But yeah, that's how I felt. And so when I left, first of all, the few people who were not white who I was friends with, I held on for dear life for a very long time. I'm not really that connected with them anymore, but very much I was like, please, can I spend all my time with you? I need like something else in my life, like something that's not just white people. Though my friends, like I said, were also great, but they just, I don't know.
It's different.
It's just different.
Yeah.
And so when I went to school, I was like, I know that I want to be around people who are not white, which is really funny because I went to a very, 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 very white Ivy League college. But someone got there and was like, I found the Black people, I found the people who are not white, and I am going to stay right here. There is nothing else for me but these people right here.
But that's amazing that you found, you know, what you were looking for. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So good job to your school. Good job to you. A+. So now working at your current position, what's something maybe that you've learned about, whether it's about specifically activism, racial injustice, anything in general, but what's something that you've learned that you didn't know that's kind of like shocked you? Is there anything that's about working in activism, or like just stuff you've learned, like statistics or something?
I think I'm going to answer the first question you asked me first. And yeah. Okay. I mean, I didn't know that you could be paid well and work in a nonprofit, let alone as a Black activist. And that is circumstantial. That is not the norm. But my organization happens to, well, I shouldn't say happens to, with intention, make sure that it's mostly Black staff is paid well. And I'm still every day sort of like, what? You pay me this much to do this? I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work and it's exhausting, right? Because you're dealing with things that are considered trauma for other Black people. And we're looking at those things head on constantly. So it should pay well. It really should. But I'm still blown away. I'm always like, are you sure? Okay, if you say so. I mean, I don't know. Feels like a lot. But I'm not complaining.
I can use it to decorate my apartment. That's fine.
Right.
That's fine.
I have no complaints. So that definitely surprised me. And for anyone listening who might be interested in nonprofit work, there are some nonprofits who are equally intentional and careful about, making sure they pay well, pay a living wage, and then the next step, which is like paying well. Because a lot of nonprofits they'll, and it's not like I started off here being paid well. I mean, it started as an assistant or whatever, getting like shit money,
of course,
doing whatever. But, all along the way, I've had benefits even with that. And so there's a lot of advantages. And so if anyone's ever looking to work at a nonprofit, like make sure those are things. Like don't let them lowball you. Don't let them, just make sure they have benefits and all the things, because they should. If they don't, they need to work on that infrastructure. Yeah. And then something that, this question is a little harder. So something that surprised me about working in racial justice specifically, it's a little harder for me to answer because nothing about racism surprises me.
Yeah.
Like the insurrection happened and people were like, oh my God, what, really? And I was like, makes perfect sense. Like the white nationalists have been
They've been here all along. Yeah,
they've been here. They never went anywhere.
People have been really like there wasn't something happened basically where here in this national park, all of these white nationalists went up and like posed with like covering their faces so you couldn't see them, with like flags, and I think even like Trump flags. It's like you're Australian. What are you doing?
Very good stuff.
Yeah, crazy. And like had swastikas and stuff, and like very fucking neo-Nazi scary shit. And so many people have been like, oh my God, like where did this come from? And I'm like, what are you talking about? This has been happening for years. And like my parents both were like, oh wow, that's happening now. And I'm like, it was always happening. Like it never wasn't happening.
It never wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So that one is a little hard. I think there have been some issues that I've had to learn a lot about, though. Surveillance is one of them. And, what I understand now is that almost every issue that exists, social justice issue that exists, probably is a racial justice issue. You just have to look at it the right way, or, get the facts that will help you understand that perspective, right? But like, that's every single issue. Environment, like if you're talking about the environment, if you're talking literally anything is a racial justice. That's a social justice issue, is also a racial justice issue.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn a lot about surveillance, and how surveillance impacts Black people and has been impacting Black people, forever. I mean, it's pretty intense. And just, the FBI, I'm not going to talk too much about this, but I'll give you a little snippet, right? Like, so the FBI has a program called Black Identity Extremism, in which they basically surveil Black activists and sort of categorize them as this. And that's like a terrorist categorization, essentially.
Yeah, what the fuck?
And they, through that, will monitor your social media. They'll monitor, just all types of things.
Like shadow banning and stuff is a part of that.
What is shadow banning? I actually don't know what that is.
It's where like I'm a 12-year-old, especially on like TikTok, but it happens on Instagram, certain things, certain creators, and I know a lot of Black and Latinx creators will like, their stuff will stop coming up, especially like activists. There are a lot of like, I follow a lot of Australian Indigenous TikTok creators that just kind of like give information and explain what's going on with like the Australian government and how like people in detention centers are being treated and stuff like that. And they will like constantly, I feel like every single one, there's probably 10 different people that I follow, and I've seen every single one be like, so I've been shadow banned, so my stuff isn't coming up anymore, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was called that. Thank you. That's so helpful.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, that's a sort of a separate issue, but they're all related. I mean, everything's interrelated. But so, oh my God, there's a phenomenal article, and if you want it, I'll send it to you.
Yes, please.
And if you want to add it too, so other people can read it, this phenomenal article
Mhm.
where a Black woman talks about, she calls it getting zucked, which is like on Facebook, Black people would talk about their experiences with racism
Mhm.
and discrimination and things like that, and somehow it would get flagged as hate speech essentially and would get removed. But somehow the white nationalists over here they're still on there gathering and actually, distributing hate speech and misinformation. But we're going to talk about that.
And doing organizing terrorism
and insurrection, a literal insurrection on the Capitol. But it's fine. Just take down all of Black people talking about racism, and it was especially happening to Black women.
Mhm.
They would talk about their experiences, and they would just be being censored, and their content being removed. So I'll go looking for that article. I use it a lot when I'm writing my petition materials and things like that. Whenever I have to talk about Facebook, because I'm always having to talk about Facebook these days.
Yeah.
Facebook's a really bad actor. But there's so many issues with surveillance, right? To connect Facebook and surveillance really quick, like one major issue is that these big tech companies a lot of times cooperate with law enforcement when they don't have to. That's a choice they're making. And when they do that, it causes harm to Black people. It causes harm to the Black activists that, the FBI might be trying to follow for some reason. And the FBI, I've heard stories like, oh, the FBI showed up at my front door. I've heard a lot of stories, and I am barely a novice in this area of racial justice, right? And I have heard some really appalling things. So I can only imagine the level of harm that is causing for Black people and Black activists. But that's also something that has always existed. The FBI has always sort of tried to quell Black activism, Black empowerment. And if you look at history, the sort of most obvious example is the Black Panthers and the Black Panther movement. So that stuff still happens. Basically, this type of surveillance that was happening then happens still now, and it takes different forms.
It's so disappointing. And same thing, not surprising. I'm not at all like, oh wow, how could that happen? Of course, everyone sucks. Everyone sucks. Racism is at the core of every issue everywhere.
I don't know what happened all those years ago that white people just decided. This is probably the thing that surprises me. I cannot get my head around the fact that white people one day just decided that they were better because they were white.
It makes
and
no
then
sense.
Enslaved an entire race because of it, and then killed a bunch of indigenous people because I was like, wait, what? This concept doesn't make any sense to me. I can't.
And every Western white country has their own version of something horrific, and everyone's just yeah, I'm proud. People will be like, yeah, I'm a true blue Aussie. I'm like, why the fuck do you want to be that? Jesus, can't. What?
Fair enough. I will give you a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, pride in your country, and all that stuff. Sure. But also the founding, at least for the United States, the founding of this country was based on one type of people deciding fundamentally that other type of people was inferior to them and enslaving them. It just doesn't, my brain can't.
This country was founded on people being like, oh, hey, you live here? They're like, yeah, we've always been here. And they're like, cool, we're gonna come and kill a bunch of you, and then also I don't know, rape your wives and breed out the Blackness, because we think that that's the best way to make this our home.
It's just the best way to live. It's fine.
If you put it in that simple, in such simple terms, let's let's just convince people that we're better than them and enslave them and not pay them and like destroy generations and like create trauma in an entire people. And then like it just doesn't make sense. If you explain this to a child, they would cry. They would be like, what? Why would anyone do this?
Yeah, why is someone less than because they're a different color? Like it truly doesn't make sense. We don't start that way either. Like if you get two kids, they won't know. They don't know the difference.
No, absolutely not. If you put it in terms of like Sesame Street, is Big Bird any better than Elmo? What? Like if you say it that way,
yes, it's
what?
Like ludicrous. It's completely new. It makes no sense. And that's probably the thing that I can't get is like what happened here. I mean, there's clearly some sort of power dynamic that was going on. And you know, someone who's more educated in the history of slavery than I am, I'm sure will like enlighten us onto like what actually literally happened, because I'm like, I fully don't understand. I don't understand what happened. Like how and then none of it makes sense to me. And that's my answer. That's the thing that like surprises me, or like I can't sort of wrap my brain around is the fundamental, like,
yeah, absolutely, just makes no sense. Like
I am speechless. I don't understand.
Yeah, and especially now, like think about civilization, like we can tap on a little box and have food arrive and we're like, yeah, that's normal. You think when things are that advanced from like we had to like get coconuts off trees to that, yet so many people's thinking is still like, yeah, so this is a systemic thing from hundreds of years ago. I'm just gonna stick with that.
Yeah, we like it. We're gonna keep it. We think we're gonna keep it. And then we come along, you know, activists and all the people who like have a brain, and I shouldn't say it like that, but like people who are like sort of tuned in and are like, that's wrong. And then the government's like, no, is it? We're gonna keep it. We think we're gonna keep it. We like it. It's working for us.
Is it gonna give us? Is it gonna give me more money, me the government, when the whole point of the government is to give things and help people? When it's like, no, actually, let's spend millions of dollars on guns.
Yeah, they're like, nah. They were like, oh, someone was like, you know, maybe you could not be racist, and they were like, no, nah.
Someone was like, hey, look, what about basic human rights? What do you think that Black people deserve this? And they're like, well, look, I get it, but I just don't have the time right now. Like
I'm so busy. You know what? I just started building a building right over there. So I just can't. I can't right now. It doesn't fit in my schedule.
Yeah. And I'm not even the one building it. Like I've actually got like a team of minorities doing it for me.
Right.
But you know, I've got to. I
have to like make sure they're doing things. You know.
Yeah, and then
it takes up a lot of time.
I meant to be I've got reservations at Red Lobster. I gotta like.
I just.
My bib is on. I'm ready to go. I've like.
This sounds like a tomorrow issue. Maybe tomorrow.
Let's I guess begin to wrap this up. First of all, if there's anyone that like grew up in a similar situation to you, you know, a Black person in a predominantly white neighborhood, or a Latinx person, or someone of minority in an area where they don't feel represented, is there like a small piece of advice you would give someone in that situation? And then second, are there any resources that you could give for anyone out there looking to get into activism some more?
Yeah, the second question is really fun and has a lot of answers.
Amazing.
The first question, my initial reaction is like, I'm still figuring it out. And so I don't know that I'm going to be the best person to answer that. That said, I think that there's a number of different things that I've been discovering, like other people have taught me, like Kelsey in particular, who's our mutual friend,
Yes.
is deep into TikTok. I am like 1 year older, and I'm just like, what, over my head completely. Don't get it. But I bring up TikTok because there's like these segments of TikTok who are people who have their accounts who are doing racial justice education and talking about their experiences, and what it was like to grow up as a biracial Black person, what it's like to like figure out their hair, just all like a whole swath of sort of representation and talking issues and talking about their experience. And I would look to them. I mean, I would look to them, and especially because they're younger, and see, and I think they're more well adjusted. I think the people who are considered Gen Z are more like, maybe that's just my perception of them, but I just think they're more well adjusted and better at things, and are gonna save the world. And so I like look to them, and they can talk about their experiences so well and probably have really great advice. And I guess for me, the other thing would be, keep looking for what you're looking for. If you're looking for yourself, keep searching, keep doing soul searching. Like if you're looking for a Black friend, like who, you're two peas in a pod and you both like video games and like are nerds, you can find that person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the one good thing about the internet, like I'm sort of one of those people in the camp that are like, you know what, the internet was a mistake, maybe.
Yeah.
But the one good thing I think that came from it is you can connect with people from far, far away with similar interests as you. I mean, it's been a problem again because of the things like the insurrection, but it's good for people who, if I could have found using the internet like another nerdy theater Black kid, maybe who went to another school but was in the same area, like that would have been incredible. And so I think people can find that now. And then the second question, so resources, I mean, like I mentioned, TikTok is a great resource for racial justice, like learning about racial justice, social justice, probably any issue you could think of, disability rights. You could probably learn a lot from TikTok, from the people who use TikTok to discuss those things. But the other like books and resources I give. So I work for Color of Change, so I always plug Color of Change. Color of Change is a group that is an organization that is looking to better the world for Black people, and we're unabashedly for and by Black people. So if you're looking for more of an entry, I call it like an entry level space to learn, that might not be the right place because we're already like deep into like, we're just going to start talking to you about surveillance. Like we're not going to go over the basics.
Yeah.
We're talking about surveillance and how it impacts Black people. But one of the things I think is great, 13th is a documentary on Netflix. Ava DuVernay made it, and I've seen white people watch that movie and they are like sobbing.
Yeah.
By the end. There's a lot of emotional processing, I think, that happens with that documentary.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you Google it, there's like tons of like, what would you call them? Partner resources that go with it or whatever. The other thing, and they'll mention this if you choose to watch 13th, is The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. It's like this fantastic book. That's probably like a good entry level resource for someone who wants to start understanding, like, sort of the basics of the discrimination our country is based on.
Amazing. Oh my God. So many helpful things. And I'll link that article that you mentioned as well. So yeah, that'll be in the link on the YouTube version of this. If you're listening, just go to the YouTube description and it'll have all of the links to everything. This has been so lovely and just so fun to talk to you because obviously I haven't seen you in almost a year.
I know, it's crazy.
Breaks my heart. I miss you so much and it's just so good to hang out,
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And where can people find you specifically, or anything that you want to plug right now?
Yeah, I have a website. I'm giggling because I'm like, probably my website's not the best place, but all the things are on my website. If you're looking for the easy way to get to me, it's samanthaantrum.com. I'm underscore with love from Sam on Instagram. That's all, like, the best way to reach me. Is my Instagram. And I have a Medium blog. And I love my Medium blog. So go check out my Medium blog. It's also underscore with love from Sam.
Yeah. And also, I personally want to shout out your skating account.
Oh, yeah.
Because it brings me so much joy. Yeah, can you tell people a little bit about that?
I'm really bad at roller skating. There's not a lot of content that's recent up there, but it's called underscore with love from skates. It's obviously inspired by my like personal Instagram, and it was meant to sort of document my skate journey in combination with Kelsey's like skateboarding journey. Kelsey has since advanced, to the one wheel.
Yes, her electric skateboard.
Yeah, which is just its own niche thing. So anyone out there who likes to one wheel, like, please hit up Kelsey through our skating Instagram. And I have sort of temporarily given up roller skating for inlines, which is like rollerblading basically. So I'm going to try rollerblading for a little while, see how that goes, because roller skating has been really incredibly difficult. And a lot of people do it and feel good and like having a good time learning. I wasn't. And so I was like, let me try something I know how to do and see if that's more fun. So
rollerblading is so much easier. Wait, let me get mine.
So much easier.
Oh no, my headphones too long. I'm stuck.
I have the same ones.
Pardon?
I just bought those. Yeah, the fairy floss.
Oh my God!
I have the exact same ones. They're so pretty.
Yeah.
And I just stare at them and I'm like, who thought to invent these beautiful skates? Beautiful. They're so gorgeous.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. This is such a great conversation. And thank you, anyone out there watching and or listening. I really appreciate you also. And you can find anything that I'm doing at Ashley Crap App on everything, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, everything. Yeah. So thank you very much. And thank you, Sam. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.